Welcome back to the second episode. Sarah Nyende is my name. We are having a series of episodes of when my loved one dies. We want to explore the pain that we go through when we lose our loved ones, the father, the mother, the child, the neighbor, the colleague, a person close to you that you have ever lost. How you react, how you reacted, and how you can help a person who is undergoing pain because of loss of a loved one. The first series was talking about grief and what we have to do in relation to grief and knowing that grieving is normal. Today we are going to talk about the stages of grief. The stages of grief may not be in the chronological order, not like they follow one another in that order. But experience and research has shown that when people lose their loved ones, there are stages of life or stages of pain they go through. And the first stage is denial. When my father was shot dead and we were told that he had passed away, it was not an easy experience. And we could not accept this. We could not understand it. We wanted to see the body. We wanted to see the scene. We wanted to be able to be sure that the person they're talking about is the person we know is our loved one. It is very disappointing when you lose a loved one and you don't see the body. Actually, people stay in that denial position or that denial stage for long, especially when they say your son passed away but is in Saudi Arabia and the body was not brought back to you, to the country where the person, probably the parents are. It is disappointing when they do burial when you have not seen your child. One time, a certain teacher I was teaching with at a certain school went to give birth to a child in a hospital, and suddenly the child died at the stage of birth, and the mother was unconscious by the time the baby passed away. And it took some days that the mother was not recovering. People were saying, let's do the burial. The body is here for 2 days. We cannot keep the body here for long. And those people who had the experience of grief and who knew what it meant when a person loses a loved one said, don't do any burial of that baby until the mother, if the mother is able to recover and see that the baby died, it will help the mother to recover better than when you people bury the baby and when the mother had not witnessed, has not seen the baby or the body. So they had to put the baby in the morgue for some days in order to wait for the mother to recover. And when the mother recovered a bit and was able to be conscious, they told the mother, and the first question was, where is my baby? And of course, stories had to be told that the baby passed away. And then the mother, the next question is, where is the body? And they had to show the baby, the dead body, to the mother. It is one of the healing processes when people view the body. That process of viewing the body sometimes is neglected. Some people think it is not important. But when our loved one die, we normally want to see what happened. Is this my son? Is this my wife? Is this my husband? Because unless you see the body, and the real people in my culture, they actually have to open. You don't simply show the head. They want to see the whole body. They open it up because it has been noted that some people can bring something different and they say this was your son or your daughter or your relative. So the body viewing program when a person dies is very important. We should not ignore it. Don't simply say, after all is still, after all is mourning, after all is not, we can do the burial. If you can wait for the person who is coming from abroad, for example, and there's chance of waiting, better you do it. Like I told you, my grandmother had only one son, my father. And like I told you, my father passed away when he was shot dead. The condition then were hard that it took time for the grandmother to move from village to come where my father was going to be buried. So because of the delay and because of the condition, the political situation then, the father was buried before the grandmother could reach. And so when the grandmother reached, the only son he had in life had been buried. One, he was shot dead, but two, he had been buried, and the grandmother had not seen the body. It was not easy. So she would go to the tomb, to the burial ground, and cry and say, "Is it you who is here? Couldn't you wait for me to see?" There were many questions that she had, and I'm telling you, they could not be answered because it made the grieving even harder because she had not seen the body. So denial is one of the stages of grief. But one way to reduce that denial stage is the person viewing the body. Then they can be sure that it is that child, it is that husband, it is that wife that has passed away. Failure to see the body of the loved one contributes to bitterness and grief after the loss of loved one. And denial may stay forever. The person may not accept that the person who was buried was their loved one. So better we allow people view the body if it is possible. The second stage is anger. This comes as a reality when we have lost our loved ones. We get annoyed. Sometimes we get annoyed because the conditions that happened when the person was about to die. Probably we assume the nurse did not do what was required, the doctor did not do what, you called for transport, and probably the transport officer, the Uber person, or whoever was supposed to drive the car did not come in time. Sometimes we blame the deceased. Why did he go to that hospital? Why did she move to that journey? We blame the people who have died. We blame the people who were around them. Probably they didn't care enough. We blame the hospitals where the people died from, or whatever other place where the condition, the death happened. And so we note that anger is one of the stages of grief. And if anger is not handled, somebody can continue with anger for life, and some people end up committing suicide or having other depression issues. They end up because they are angered by the death of their loved ones. So this is one of the stages that should be managed. When people die, we may not have changed the situation. Sometimes we blame, why did the person go on that journey where the accident was gotten. But you may find that even if the person who had stayed in bed, the person probably could have died. So death may not have a very good way of how you explain that this happened, and probably blaming the doctors may have done whatever it takes, but probably the person passed away. So anger is one of the stages of grief. And when you see a person so angry, when the person has lost a loved one, get to know that that is a stage. Support that person to manage the anger. And those of us who have not lost, it's better you get to know about it, that when it comes to you, you can easily handle the anger. Another stage is bargaining, is another stage of grief when we lose our loved ones, and people start uh, thinking what could have been done to prevent the loss. I wish I had not taken the child to school. I wish I had not taken my person to that hospital. You start living in the wish stage, bargaining what could have been done better and what probably was not done better. So this stage is also not good because it is also involving a lot of blaming yourself for what you did not do right, blaming others who didn't do whatever you think they didn't do right, and you delay overcoming the pain. You delay managing yourself to move from pain to peace, from pain to joy, and from pain to hope. So that is a stage. It will always come because when a person dies, you start thinking what could have been done better. I wish I didn't call Uber, but probably I had. Probably I could have called the brother instead of the sister. Those questions, those ideas may come our way because we lose our loved one. And was like I said, the pain is real and it is deeper depending on the relationship you had. The next stage is the depression stage. It's another stage of grief. It comes when you are almost realizing that actually the person died. You feel lonely, you feel sad, you feel empty after the loss of a loved one. This is a stage when there's lack of motivation. You lack motivation to bathe. You don't want to change the clothes. You don't want to comb your hair. Failure to visit, a failure to go to church, failure to attend functions. Because when you go to the function, you lost a husband, and then you see people a wedding, or you see people coming in with their husbands or wives, you feel the pain. You end up remembering what happened to you when you lost your loved one. And so you end up in depression. This is a stage that we should also handle because if we delay in it, the situations become worse and end up with mental illnesses. And then we may end up again needing some help, even medical attention, even drugs to help us. So when we get to know, when you see you are losing, you are so lonely, you are so depressed, you can't manage even to move it. If you can call for support, feel free. Tell a friend or a person if you have that you people, I'm feeling this. Can anybody help me? I can't even comb my hair. Can anybody help? So, in such a stage of depression, sometimes you need help. But if you get to know about it early, then you can say, oh, this is what I'm feeling. And then you remember this is a stage. And then you give yourself encouragement to see how you can move up, even despite the challenges you have. So acknowledging that this is another stage of grief would also help you to help overcome this or go through this stage fairly successfully. The last stage of grief is acceptance. This is when people come in terms with the loss. They accept that really my father passed away, my child died, my mother is no more. This is a stage that can help you. It does not mean that you are not in pain, but it helps you to see what else can I do without my wife. Sometimes the wife was preparing food for you. Sometimes the wife was probably cleaning up the house. And then you start noting that this is no more. So where can I get, other than being in depression, you don't eat, you start thinking, where can I get food from? Should I call people to serve me food by buying it online? Should I get a person to help? Should I get another wife and then marry? You think you have accepted that the other one passed away, and then you are seeing what else can be done amidst the loss. Whereas acceptance may not do away with pain, but acceptance is a stage towards healing. It is a stage helping you to live fairly successfully amidst the loss. When we read the book of Psalms chapter 6, verse 6 to 7, uh, the writer of that psalm was experiencing grief. And it says, chapter 6, verse 6 and 7 of the book of Psalms, I am worn out with grief. Every night my bed is damp from weeping. My pillow is soaked with tear. I can hardly see. My eyes are so swollen from the weeping caused by my enemies. So sometimes when we have lost the loved ones, We are worn out. We are worn out with grief. We cry and our pillows are soaked with tears. Our eyes get swollen. We lose energy. We feel lonely. Those are normal stages of grief. The challenge is staying in those stages for long, because when you stay in denial for long, when you stay in depression for long, when you stay in anger for long, it affects your health. It affects the people around you because you don't behave the way you should. The book of Psalm, chapter 46, Psalms 46, verse 1, also has some encouraging words for some of us who are grieving for the loss of your loved one, your husband, your child, your friend. God is our shelter and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. I want to encourage each one of us who is undergoing pain, irrespective of the stage where you are, that God is our friend. He is our shelter. He's our strength in times of trouble. When you feel so low, when you feel depressed, when you feel so sad, angry, annoyed, I want to encourage you to turn to the Creator, because the Creator knows it all and the Creator can help. But where you feel, even when you pray, because sometimes when you lose the loved ones, even you kneel down, but you fail to utter a word, ask for help, ask for support, call somebody who can help. At least now you know that I'm one of those people who can give a support. You could also reach up to me if you can, and then we see what else we can do. Sometimes it may call for real going to hospital for medication, for support, for more physical and psychological support. Some people fail to walk and they need to be helped to walk again. Grief is something that is normal and something that is real, and so we should not ignore this. The stages of grief may not be in that chronological order, but I'm telling you, there will always be denial, there will always be anger, there will always be depression, but the best stage is when you reach the level of accepting that my loved one passed away, and that stage can help you plan what else can I do with or without my person. May the Lord help us overcome the grief for the loss of our loved ones. Stay blessed. Please watch again the third episode for more information about when our loved one die.